So one of the ways that we can think about doing multiple representations of the same idea in order to create a text set is very small, and it can happen across just 2 minutes. So for example, I might want to teach a new rhythm to a group of kids that are either in band, chorus, or orchestra. And so I might just sort of start by clapping the rhythm for them. So I might just, and then I might decide I'd like for them also to know what that looks like on the page so that they can play it back to me or clap it back to me when I haven't just done it right in front of them. So I want them to know some notation for it, but they don't all read music, so I might give some sort of a basic symbolic notation for it. So long, long, quick, quick, long. I might decide that it's easy for kids to understand my sort of chicken scratching here, or I might decide that that actually I want to borrow from notation and show that these are sort of separate, separate, together, together, separate. I might actually use conventional notation and call these eighth notes and quarter notes. I could also put them right on a staff. If I did that, I would scratch them out, so I won't do it on this screen. And I can also sort of talk to people about how if we were going to put pitches to these, it would make sense to represent them as notes. But often with just percussion, we use X's. And I might even tell them why historically that is the convention and why that's helpful, and how if you're playing a bunch of different percussion instruments, maybe you have some X's and some O's of the line and all of these different possible notations. I want them to understand, though, that whether I did sort of like star, star, dot, dot, star, quarter notes, eighth notes, X's, whatever it is, that I am communicating to a particular audience in a particular format. And so they have now seen 1, 2, 3, and then they've watched and heard my clapped out example. So that's 4 different texts that they could use to understand and play back or talk about that rhythm. That means they have 1, 2, 3, 4 different points of entry, depending on how much music literacy they have, or how well their learning style matches sort of clapping back what they've just heard or seen, or coming from a page and then putting that into their embodied experience. But either way, it's not like I had them read 4 different books about it. I've just shown them the same idea in 4 different representations. So that's supportive of students because they get to have different entry points that fit different levels. But it also gives them a backstage pass, so to speak, behind why these systems of notation, such as they are, exist that way and what they're used to do, so that students could feel empowered, if they wanted, to do these things as well. They could sit down and start using their own symbol system. They could write for percussion if they wanted to. They could just sort of record video of their clapping because they understand how these ideas can be transmitted in music and how they can be compared and critiqued and created.